They seem like a couple in love, newly married with a newborn baby. But when Ortega finally forced her way inside their house, she says she found a woman not just physically tortured, but heartbroken.
She was just like, "Mom, why did he do this to me?"
Prosper never imagined days after their son was born, she would be hours away from death. Due to the pending court case, Prosper can't talk about what happened inside this house last June.
Milk was useless,
Pictures
and she was
speak for
worthless,
themselves.
and he tried to blind her so she couldn't see her baby. He tried to make her deaf so she couldn't hear him crying.
Her mother tells local news that she tried to escape, but he grabbed her, tied her to a bed, and cut off her hair. Uchitel has been charged with aggravated battery, false imprisonment, cruelty to a child, and is being held without bail. The new mom will need multiple procedures for her extensive injury. A GoFundMe page has been created to help with her medical bills.
A term that might be easier for people to wrap their heads around would be legal kidnapping. Or, it's really not legal, but if it goes through the court system, people think that it must be legal.
It was saying that she wanted to be able to have something in writing in order to take him to the doctor or, whatever emergency situation may come up so she could show a paper. That's how it was being expressed to me. I believed that I was going to give them some form of guardianship, temporary guardianship, but not full sole legal custody, which is what they have.
My name is Deborah Beecham, and I'm a child advocate in Atlanta, Georgia. And I focus on helping parents and children navigate safely through our justice system. The fact that this mother, who had to fight for her life and her child's life, relied on people she had a reason to trust. She relied on them to help care for her child, and while they were caring for her child, it appears that they decided that maybe we should just keep this baby for ourselves.
I was extremely infantilized by people at the time and felt that way myself, like very defeated after finding out about my legs.
That's what actually ended up being the sort of taking over, like, what are we gonna do with this very, very painful, extensive surgery with Ari, because I was getting ready to start endgames and Prosper had to go into this major surgery. And if she didn't get the surgery on her legs, the tendons would die and she would lose her leg. They were gonna have to cut her leg off from the knee down. Here's where I think a lot of the problems were happening, is that would text me what she was gonna do. And all I cared about was my daughter and my grandson. There was people that were starting to call me and say, I'm available to come, I can come. And then the next thing you know, they weren't coming, and then I'd say, well, I thought you were gonna show up. And they were like, well, that you didn't need me there. I thought it was temporary. We signed in a bank.
When I was taken to the bank, I actually had my surgery already, and I was rolled in there in a wheelchair and given this paperwork in front of a notary. We were not discussing anything as far as what they ultimately ended up having.
Okay.
It's very calculative. In this case, they hold all the rights. And what is being said is, because I signed the paperwork giving them full sole legal custody, that I don't have any rights to say that that's not, whether or not I knew that's what I was signing, I signed it. Right. So they have the rights and they have the rights, period. It doesn't matter that I was on a ridiculous amount of pain medications and had just had a very serious surgery. Doesn't matter that I was also healing from a concussion. It doesn't matter that I didn't have any representation, that my rights were not explained to me, and that I was not invited to the hearing. None of these things matter.
Nobody's actually gone after. How did they do this? What was signed? What was on the version that they signed? All we know is that they got a hearing and the judge did not find Prosper to be unfit. There was never any investigation into whether or not she should have custody of her child or not. The other side just produced a document with Prosper's signature on it and said, she's just waived over her right to raise her child. She's given us permanent sole custody. So imagine the shock and horror of finding out that these people said that that's what you signed. It's one of the more horrifying cases because of the deception, taking advantage of somebody in such a vulnerable state.
You're not alone. Every night I stand in your place. Every tear on every face.
This is an opportunity for the lawyers and the psychologists involved to make money using this child.
I then found some articles about finding, that there was some malfeasance with the guardian ad litem and the Dr. Drutman and these evaluations and prolonging of litigation and spending money, and how you can get caught as entrapped and bullied to death by the judicial system.
John Goger. Last month, he ordered a 10-year-old girl to live with her father, who had been twice arrested and accused of abusing her. Charges were dropped for lack of evidence. The judge made the order based on the recommendation of psychologist Howard Drutman, the custody evaluator, and attorney James Holmes, the guardian ad litem. According to court records, 5 assessments supported the girl's story of repeated molestation. Nonetheless, Drutman and Holmes reported the mother was subconsciously re-victimizing the daughter by not letting her progress past the abuse.
This is how this goes. Prosper went to meet with Dr. Drutman, started talking to him, laid out the truth, told her story, presented her evidence, believing that he's an ethical professional. I mean, psychologists have a duty, they have an oath that they take like lawyers do. So imagine her shock when she saw his report and saw that he not only excluded all evidence of wrongdoing by the other side, he also excluded anything exculpatory, anything positive about Prosper. It was like he never heard it.
Absolutely nothing to acknowledge the abuse that we have experienced, that we have footage of. Like my mother getting hit in the face, dropping off my son.
The sippy cup on top of your car. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
To the 3-inch gash that is on the side of his face as we speak, that's not being treated, that's scabbing up and turning red with infection. It's not just about having Ari back, it's about making sure that he's okay and that he gets settled and adjusted and he can get the help that he needs after having gone through his own experience. I've been made out to be this person that's irresponsible when I'm fully capable of taking care of Ari, and I am financially stable, and this case is ultimately what is depleting me of my finances. So I have to pay upwards of $200 monthly to have this SoberLink device to submit these tests. Every other week for 4 hours, Saturday, Sunday, is $500. Follicle tests run you about $575 to $600.
How often do you have to do this?
Quarterly, so every 90 days. At one point it was every 60 days, or just whenever it was requested of me. A urine test is about $50 a test, and a alcohol test, which is once a month, is $30. The therapy sessions that we have, family and individual, run $100 to $130 a session, including testing. And that's twice a week.
They keep asking us to pay for these tests, pay for these supervisors. It's like we can't afford to be with him, so we just are just barely getting by to try to see him. And you know, we're trying to talk to him on the phone, and he comes behind him and slaps the phone out of his hand. And then the last time he's like saying, he pushed me into a wall. There's a big gash on his face. His tooth is dead. He is hurting. And there's just no justice.
Ms. has spread the word, and has as well, that I have been deemed unfit by a judge. That is not factual. That that this case is closed, that they have adopted him, or in the case where they need money, and they have reached out to people asking for funds, stating that I have been deemed unfit, and that they were told that if they did not continue to fight, that Ari would be put into child care, and that they needed financial support.
And I'm proud of her for never giving up. She didn't give up when he was trying to kill her. She didn't give up when he tried to kill her, and their attorney and their meanness. She didn't give up. She forgives, and she just says, I'm gonna get by. There's nothing else I can do about it, so I'm just gonna get by.
Cases like Prosper's and Ari's need financial backing, need exposure, and we need to create a precedent for justice in the future.
Come with me, my love, to the sea of love.